Marcus Satterfield is still the play caller.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the vision Matt Rhule always had. I think initially, though, the vision was not to have Satterfield coach quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking at some other people last year. It didn't work out for whatever reason. Now they have Glenn Thomas here from the Steelers. He'll coach quarterbacks. Marcus Satterfield will still run this offense.
Right. And there was some, wouldn't you guys agree that there was some question when they hired Glenn Thomas that maybe Thomas would take over play calling?
Slapped a co-coordinator title on him. Like,
right.
So you immediately jump to that conclusion. Like, oh, here we go. He's taking the keys from Satterfield.
Right. And then what happened today?
Shut it down.
Yeah. Rhule to shut it down. He said, yes. He said, I told you guys from the beginning that Sat was going to be the OC. Sat is the offensive coordinator. Glenn, he said, Glenn Thomas is coming in as the co-offensive coordinator to work with him. Sat, he said, is going to call the plays. Thomas will be intimately involved in play design. But he said it about 3 different times in 3 different ways. Sat is in charge of the offense. Satterfield is in charge of the offense. Satterfield will stand in front of the room. Now, he won't coach the quarterbacks, obviously. He'll coach the tight ends, Satterfield. That's the big change. So now they have a dead.
And last year's tight ends coach, Josh Martin, still around.
Analyst. So Josh Martin goes back to being an analyst. This is what, and Sean alluded to this, this is the setup that Rhule wanted from the outset. Some things fell through, obviously.
Yeah, you look at just the makeup of this, and Matt Rhule is not a guy that's going to shake things up. And I think it's unfair to be critical of Satterfield in some respects because of the injuries.
Yeah, now, Sean, just a mild disagreement when you say Rhule's not a guy who's going to shake things up. I don't agree with that. He does shake things up
off his initial plan.
Right.
It's not like he just hired Satterfield off the streets as a brand new person.
Oh, no.
Like this has been his guy since Western Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they go way back.
But my read on Rhule from his past, and hey, Sean, from what we've seen in Nebraska, even with lower level
support staff roles,
if something is not to his liking, he will make a change. He's very decisive. I liked it today how clear he was. You guys, we've covered coaches here that weren't like that.
Like it will be a collaborative group effort.
You know what I mean? No, but just the way they address these situations, like. I mean, it's been frustrating at times with certain coaches. They just wouldn't be real forthcoming. Rhule is a very decisive and very forthcoming. And it's very refreshing.
So with the picture that I understood Rhule kind of painted was when you go down to the offensive staff, like as far as the play design, the scheme and all that sort of thing, Donovan Rhule is still heavily involved as the kind of a run game coordinator.
That's right.
Glenn Thomas is going to be kind of like a pass game coordinator.
Right.
Marcus Satterfield is going to be in charge of the offense as the OC calling the plays.
Yep.
Matt Rhule is going to be the guy that, chimes in when he feels it's necessary, but kind of oversee the entire picture. So that's kind of the hierarchy.
You got it.
That he kind of laid out specifically during his press conference.
The only thing I'd add is he also mentioned in terms of like play design, Garrett McGuire is involved. So no, you got it. I like that look, by the way, that you just laid out. All of that made a lot of sense to me.
You just think about last year's offense, though. Has there ever been a unit decimated like last year? Where
I'm glad you mentioned it.
I mean, Jeff Sims, they misfired on that one, but he also got hurt with an ankle injury.
He did,
and Harburg got hurt. Chuba Purdy got hurt. Okay, Gabe Ervin, Ramir Johnson got hurt. And then the receivers, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, Marcus Washington. And I'm missing one in there. Billy Kemp got hurt for a while.
Yeah, Kemp was out for a little bit.
Thomas Fedoni coming off injury. Ethan Piper got hurt. Turner Corcoran got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the number of things they dealt with, and that's why I have a really hard time saying point the finger at Satterfield.
Oh, I'm 100% in agreement with that. And I didn't think his play calling was bad. Now, you guys watched the games with me. And everybody can kind of nitpick on certain play calls.
Certainly,
there's some game. I'd say there's some game management things that you can be critical of.
Yeah, and that might be more Rhule actually. But I didn't watch the games and consistently think, oh my God, Satterfield can't call plays. Of course, there's instances where you question him, but I thought by and large I thought he was fine as a play caller. It's the quarterback issues that were killers.
For every play that you question them calling, there are several others that if the players actually would have executed, they would have been touchdowns.
Right.
So it's like you can't just focus on the negative. You got to give props to the players. The scheme was there, the play call was there. It just wasn't executed.
Right. Now, the issue was 31 turnovers led the country for Nebraska. 31 turnovers led the country. 25 came from the quarterbacks. That's why I think there's an extreme number there. And that's what led to the change. We better hire a quarterbacks coach, Glenn Thomas.
I mean, I do think there were some positives, like how they were able to get Jalen Lloyd going, Malachi
Absolutely.
Coleman. Like Jalen Lloyd had as many 50-plus yard plays as Marvin Harrison Jr.,
Well,
which led the conference.
Yeah, he can fly.
So, like, I give them credit for some of those things because they were playing with a gun that didn't have a lot of bullets in it.
Right. And, you have to play when you have to play three quarterbacks. Anytime you have to play three, that's not what you want.
And you have to run. I mean, they were running like a traditional option.
They were.
They were running Tom Osborne's plays.
Well, with help from Ron Brown, with help from Tom Osborne himself. Satterfield's not an option. He doesn't teach the option. Rhule's not an option coach. They had to.
It was just kind of survive and advance.
Yeah. And gosh, you just look at it, and I hate to remind people, but man, 4 games to win 1 to get to a bowl. 4 to win 1. And I said probably on this show, there is no way they won't do that.
Yeah, we were all in agreement.
Right,
like we thought it was a foregone conclusion.
Right. Michigan State's the one you really look back on. There's some call.
Iowa.
Yes.
I mean, Wisconsin. You could actually argue all 4 of them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a. I mean, the Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, they
could have
make
scored
a
a
strong
touchdown.
case. They should have gone 4-0.
It was OT.
They could have scored a touchdown in regulation.
Right. Yeah. Sorry to bring
Fun
that up.
times.
But anyway, there's the stat. That's covering the staff. Satterfield, the last thing I'd mention is he's coaching the tight ends, and Rhule likes that because, he wants to get the tight ends involved. They got some good ones. Fedoni, Borkercher, and then the big horse coming in, Carter Nelson.
The president of the Carter Nelson fan club. Like Cam Jurgens had the beef jerky jerseys. You're going to come up with some Nelly, C. Nelly or something. The C. Nelly line or something.
I'm not going to come up with that one. Sure.
Try to think. What's another good Carter Nelson line?
I don't know.
I feel like the NIL T-shirt type stuff that kind of went.
That's kind of died off. Too.
Like it had about an 18-month run, but like I think people figured out real quick there aren't going to be a lot of people going to the store to buy like a backup linebacker T-shirt.
The commercials too. They're still around a little bit, but those have certainly died off a little bit.
Well, Tanner's was going to do one, and it was going to be with Jeff Sims, and it fell through. It kind of worked out. I mean, but Tanner's would have done one this year again.
Yeah, but those are not. I mean, it's just not what NIL is really.
NIL is roster value.
Yeah.
That's all it is now. With Caitlin Clarks of the world that really are the NIL.
Yeah.